Liverpool are back in Premier League action on Saturday afternoon when they face Merseyside rivals Everton at Anfield. It's been a decent start to the new season for Jurgen Klopp's side. They find themselves in the top four, which you have to say is probably the main aim for this campaign, getting themselves back in those Champions League spots, but also they're just 3 points off top spot as well, so really is an opportunity in the weeks ahead to maybe prove that they're not just in top four contention, but also that they could even maybe mount a title challenge this season. Now, as they look to do that, they've got a great opportunity on Saturday coming up against an Everton side who really have struggled at Anfield in recent history. Yes, they had that win a couple of years ago during the COVID season, but they haven't actually claimed a victory at Anfield in front of supporters since 1999, so Liverpool will be full of confidence coming into this one. Unfortunately for them, there is a slight spanner in the works, and that is the fact that, as ever, they've been given the 12:30 kickoff after an international break. Now, that always makes things tricky for the manager in terms of his team selection, so I'm here to maybe have a look at how he might line his team up for this one. As ever, I want you to let me know how you would line your team up for this one, and whether you disagree with my selections and what you think Jurgen Klopp might do for this one. Now, I'm going to start, as ever, with the goalkeeper, and of course, I think there's no debate over this one that Alisson will be the one who starts in goal. Incredibly, he's not in the Brazil team at the moment, so he has been out there for a couple of games with his national team, but not featured with Ederson, the Manchester City goalkeeper, preferred at the moment. So I'm sure we'll see Alisson. He'll be fresh and ready for this one, no doubt about that. But he was also always nailed on to be on the team sheet for this one, no doubt, between the sticks for Liverpool. Moving into the defence at right back, there was maybe a couple of weeks ago a little bit of debate over who you would prefer in this position, but the fact is now that Trent Alexander-Arnold is back to full fitness. He's been in the England squad over the international break and come away without picking up an injury. So again, I think this is one where when you've got Trent Alexander-Arnold fit, he has to be starting right back, doesn't he? He brings so much quality in terms of his delivery and influences, particularly since he's been moving into midfield. So he's a nailed-on starter again for me in this one. Moving on to the centre-halves, I think, again, another nailed-on starter is the captain, isn't it? Virgil van Dijk. He scored a penalty for the Netherlands against Greece over the international break, in fact. So he'll be full of confidence. That was an important win for his country. So coming back in as the captain, of course, of Liverpool, he's a nailed-on starter in the centre of that defence. But there is maybe a little bit of debate over who might partner him in that position. Now, you will remember prior to the international break, Joel Matip had nailed down that position. I thought done really, really well. He's a player who has had his critics in the past in terms of his, I think he had a poor season last season, and also we know about his injury problems. But when he's fit and when he's firing and he's got a midfield in front of him that protects him in the way that Liverpool's midfield does now this season, I think he's really shown that he's a quality option for Liverpool. He might not maybe be getting that new contract when he comes to the expiry of his current one at the end of this season, but I think he's shown that he's a really reliable option. That said, I think there's a really difficult choice for Jurgen Klopp to make this over this position now that he's got fit and available options at centre-half, including Konate and Joe Gomez. And I think he offered a hint, didn't he, prior to the international break about the idea that, yes, he was rotating in that position prior to the first international break when it's such a busy period, but that at some point he would maybe settle down and go to his first choice partnership. Now, I think we saw a hint at Brighton that he's going to bring Konate in for this one, and I think that with bringing on Konate late in that game, reuniting that Van Dijk and Konate partnership, I think it was preparing him for after this international break, and I think Konate is that first choice partner, and I expect him to come back in and maybe start in this one. Now, there's an opportunity at left back arising because of an injury that has been sustained in the international break. I'm talking, of course, about the fact that Andy Robertson has sustained a shoulder problem. Now, we don't quite know the extent of that injury yet and whether it's going to require surgery or not, but I think we can quite confidently say that Andy Robertson is not going to be starting at left back for this one. Now, that is a blow because, again, he would have been a nailed-on starter, no doubt about it. He's been really, really good, I think, over the past few games, really sort of adjusted to a slightly different role that he's playing this season, and I think done really well with it. So Liverpool have got a difficult question to answer in terms of who they start at left back in his absence. Now, I've seen some debate on social media in terms of, could it be Joe Gomez thrown in there? We've seen him play left back under Brendan Rodgers before. Could you even bring Jarell Quansah in, into the defence in some way and mitigate for the loss of Andy Robertson? But I think, for me, this is a straightforward one for the manager. I think he has to bring Kostas Tsimikas in there. Now, he is your backup left back. Liverpool have shown that they've got great faith in him by giving him a new contract recently. And I almost think there's an element of Tsimikas being underrated at times. throughout his Liverpool career, he's got an assist every 294 minutes. So yes, there may be question marks in terms of what he offers defensively, but Liverpool are better at protecting the defence this season. And I think in terms of that creativity going forward, Tsimikas really, he offers that a lot, and he underlined that again in the international break. He got a brilliant assist for a header with a fantastic cross on the left-hand side for Greece during the international break that sort of underlined that quality. He's also a great corner taker as well, provides real threat from that. So for me, Liverpool have shown that they've got faith in the backup left back, and I expect the manager to show that by bringing him in for this one. And maybe we'll see Kostas get a sustained run in the team if Andy Robertson's layoff proves to be a long one, which obviously we hope it's not. But I think an opportunity for Tsimikas at least in the next few games, starting with this one against Everton. Now, moving into midfield. Again, at the base of the midfield, there's been some debate, isn't there, from time to time. Is McAllister well suited to it? Is this an opportunity, particularly coming off an international break, to maybe switch him out and throw in Endo in there instead? But I think the difference is for this one, maybe to the Wolves game where we saw he came in after an international break, an early kick-off, and played really poorly, I have to say, before being dragged off at half-time. I think the difference is here that Liverpool haven't got the travel to an away game. Maybe that will help in terms of McAllister's recovery coming in from a long trip to Argentina, coming back to Liverpool. He gets to sleep in his own bed. Liverpool don't have to get up and out early to do that travel to an away game. So they've got an opportunity with it being at Anfield to maybe, I think, use McAllister in this one. I think, Endo, we will see more of him. I think there was a game in the League Cup against Leicester where he really showed what he was about, but maybe this isn't the game where he comes in. Maybe Jurgen Klopp will just wait for that adaptation process to keep going a little longer and stick with this use of McAllister in the holding midfield role, because I think it's worth saying, against Brighton in the last game for the international break, I thought McAllister had some struggles in the first half, but I thought second half he was excellent. So I think Jurgen Klopp's going to give him an opportunity to keep going in that role. So I expect him to start in the base of midfield here. Elsewhere in midfield, moving forward into that sort of right-hand sided number 8, for me, again, another no-brainer this one. Dominic Szoboszlai, first name on the team sheet at the moment, got another goal and assist for Hungary as they came back to get a 2-2 draw with Lithuania over the international break. He's in incredible form, and he's a brilliant player. He absolutely has to start this game for me. On the left-hand side of midfield, maybe a bit of a tricky one to pick out, because Curtis Jones has obviously got that suspension. We saw at Brighton just prior to the international break that Harvey Elliott gained an opportunity off the back of Jones being suspended, but it didn't quite work out and he was dragged off at half-time. And I think this has surely got to be a game where we see Gravenberch come in. I think, we saw in that game against Brighton when he came on that he just carried on as he left off in previous games. I think he's been so impressive since he's come in for Liverpool, whether that's been in the League Cup, the Europa League, or the substitute appearances he's had in the Premier League. So I'd like to see him come in from the start here. I think he really deserves it, and I think he's got that ability to drive from midfield. He's clever in possession. He keeps it really well in a sort of similar way to his compatriot Gini Wijnaldum. So again, I think has to be Gravenberch for me comes in to start this one. I'm really looking forward to seeing more of him. Moving into the forward line, the right-hand side, again, another player I don't think we have to even talk about or debate, really. Mohamed Salah really has to come in on the right-hand side, doesn't he? He's in world-class form at the minute. Well, he's been in world-class form for years and years, but he's been truly sensational at the start of the season. Absolutely no question marks that he starts on the right-hand side of that attack. On the other wing, maybe some debate over whether you would use Diogo Jota in this position, particularly off the back of Luis Diaz maybe struggling a little bit against Brighton. I thought Liverpool missed having that option of Jota to bring on late in that game. It was unfortunate they couldn't bring him on because I think they were struggling in attack and Diaz wasn't quite his best. But for me, he probably has to keep hold of his place at the moment. I think he's been in great form, even though he did actually miss a penalty over the international break for Colombia. But I still think for Liverpool, he's been in such good form at the start of this season that I really do think he has to keep that place on the left-hand side until maybe Jota proves that he has to be the one who comes in there, and maybe there's an opportunity for him off the bench. It's going to be good to have Jota back from that suspension, but I think in this one you've got to stick with Diaz for the moment. And now moving into the centre forward position, again maybe one where there's some debate. We have to see where Gakpo is up to in terms of his recovery from that knee injury. The talk was that he would be ready after the international break, so hopefully he can do some training before this one. But I still think for me, it has to be Darwin Núñez starting up front. He got a goal and an assist in a 2-0 win for Uruguay over Brazil during the international break, so his confidence is through the roof. And I also thought against Brighton, even though he didn't get a goal, I thought his general all-round play and build-up was absolutely fantastic. Showed that he's maturing week by week. We're seeing so much more to his game now. He was intelligent in his pressing as well. but he's offering that build-up and the goal threat as well. For me, he has to be Liverpool's first choice centre-forward at the moment, so I want to see him starting against Everton in this one. So that is my lineup to face Everton on Saturday. Please do let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think my selection is wrong? Is there any positions you would change? Do you think Jurgen Klopp will maybe go down a different route to the selection I've gone with? Please do let me know in the comment. As ever, I'm going to ask, please do as well, if you've enjoyed this video, do like and subscribe. There's more build up to the Merseyside derby to come on this channel, and of course I will be there at Anfield on Saturday to bring you live coverage from the game and my reaction to it as well. So do hit the subscribe button to make sure you don't miss that, and I will see you soon.